Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, my guest today is Dr. Scott Stoll, and he is generously going to extend the early bird pricing for what I really truly believe from the bottom of my heart is the premier, the #1 plant-based conference in the world. Now, listen, I'm not saying that lightly. I haven't traveled very much since the pandemic, but before that, I probably had close to 15 years under my belt, either attending or speaking at just about every conference, cruise, resort. And I mean, I don't know how he did this because we're going to talk a little bit about why it's the best, but another thing that's so cool is if you are a healthcare professional, an allied healthcare professional, it's one of the few that really offers CEUs. And if you want to be hanging out with some really, really cool people and hearing the premier speakers from people like Dr. William Lee and Dr. Dean Ornish and Dr. John McDougall is getting the Lifetime Achievement Award this year. I'm so blessed because they invited me last year, but I had already committed to be speaking at the same time at Rancho La Puerta. And I was so conflicted because Rancho La Puerta is my favorite place in the world to go. But when I make a commitment, I like to keep it. But I'm so thankful that they asked me back because Dr. McDougall has been such a friend and mentor to me that I'm just thrilled to be able to see him accept this award. You're going to learn all about the conference, how it works, why you should go, and how long the early bird pricing will last. Please welcome the man behind the conference, Dr. Scott Stoll. How are you?
Thank you, AJ. It is so great to be with you again. And thank you for this window and for supporting our conference. And thank you for joining us this year. We are thrilled that you are with us. This is amazing.
It was like a dream of mine because, I want to say I've spoken at every conference, but I always thought I spoke at every good conference, like, the McDougall Advanced Study Weekend. And it was just on my bucket list, like maybe one day, because I know that as a chef, it's a little bit more difficult because you're looking for CEUs and things like that. And I was just so blessed when I was asked because I had attended your conference as a guest. And I just remember saying back then, because as somebody who's produced 21 conferences, first of all, I know what goes on behind the scenes. It's that people think, oh, it looks so easy. Well, you make it look easy, but it's not easy, from procuring the hotel to training the chefs to promoting it. But I remember, like, you had it nailed, like the food at your conference, like it was perfect. It was, because a lot of times these places, it's not that good, or they run out because they don't understand calorie density. How did you accomplish, and this is how many years now have you been doing this conference?
This is 11.
That's amazing. And you are pretty much the man with the idea behind it, right? Or at least one of several.
Yeah, so, this idea came out of like my own personal study for so many years to try and understand how to implement this kind of a lifestyle medicine, whole food, plant-based nutrition into practice. And my friend and partner on the health immersions, Tom Dunham, was having dinner with us in 2011. And I said, Tom, you know what? It's taken me years to be able to try and understand how to do this in practice. And so I would love to start a conference to teach other healthcare professionals what I learned over the last decade. And so my friend Tom is such a good supporter. He said, let's do it. So we jumped in with both feet. And thankfully, Susan Benegas joined us along the journey because we really needed her amazing marketing mind and enthusiasm to help us pull that first conference together in 2013.
And was the first one in Florida? I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah, Naples, Florida was our first conference. That's exactly.
And didn't you grow like exponentially? Like, I think I remember hearing like maybe you had 300 and then you're now at 1,100 attendees, something like that.
Yeah, we had 180 attendees at that first conference. And, it grew pre-pandemic to about 1,200. And so, yeah, it grew exponentially, 40 different countries. And what I was always so excited about is that, whenever I ask each year how many people are new, about 80% of the audience is new. So every year we're reaching new people, which was always my goal. I didn't want to just keep preaching to the same choir every year. I wanted to reach new healthcare practitioners because they needed to reach the patients in their offices. And we found that about 70% of the attendees are physicians as well.
Well, I imagine that since all physicians, or even people that are like, I imagine that if you were like a respiratory therapist or a nurse, pharmacist, even, you need CEUs. And I guess they could get them online, but this is a chance for not only community, but it's like great lectures from some of the premier doctors and the food. I have struggled so much with the hotels in 21 conferences. How do you get them to make it the way you ask? And how do you get them to make enough? What is your secret?
The secret is Tom Dunham, my partner. He starts working with the hotel a year in advance. We have recipes, and he will wrestle the chefs to make sure that those recipes are done the right way. And as you know, it's not easy. Like, you go into a hotel, some of the chefs have never heard about whole food plant-based nutrition. And you say, we don't want any dairy, we don't want sugar, we don't want processed flours, we don't want any processed food, we don't want any animal products, and we want to feed 1,200 people, right? So the chefs say, well, what are we going to cook? And Tom does an amazing job educating the chefs. And I think that's why the food comes out, so well at our conferences. And you're right, the food is the centerpiece for bringing people together in community. And that's one of our visions. We want people to sit around tables, to meet each other, to share ideas, to grow, to collaborate, because community is where change happens.
Yeah. You are also, people may not know this, and I think you're still doing, I don't know if it's still for Whole Foods, but you also have experience doing these immersion programs.
Yeah, we've been doing immersions for a very long time, and probably 12, 13 years now. And so we've had thousands of people go through, as has Dr. McDougall and Dr. Furman and Rip Esselstyn, and it is just such a precious opportunity to be able to shepherd people through a week of lifestyle transformation, educating them, talking about behavior change, the internal journey and some of the challenges, emotional journey of food, the relationship with food, and then to watch them experience, that's the most exciting part, to experience maybe for the first time in decades what it actually feels like to be healthy. At the end of our immersions, as you know, Chef AJ, people say, I haven't felt this good in 20 years. I haven't had this much mental clarity. My depression is lifting. My pain is going away. And it's just 1 week of the experience of a whole food plant-based diet. And experience is the best teacher. And so, yeah, we love those immersions. And we were able to translate some of our immersion experience into these conferences. And so that's why the conference is a little bit like a mini immersion as well for the attendees.
Nice. I'm going to provide the link, but when, I know you've extended the early bird pricing just for our audience. When will the early bird pricing end? Monday, the 31st?
Yes, Monday, the 31st, we've extended
Perfect.
it so that more people can join us. That's right. And the conference is September 8th through the 11th in Palm Desert, California at the JW Marriott. It's a beautiful resort. And last year we just had an absolutely fabulous time.
And if you're using the same hotel, they probably are familiar with the food.
Yes, I think as long as the chef hasn't changed, and I don't think they have, we should have really good food again this year. And the food they did a marvelous job last year. They really did.
And people might say, oh, wow, that's expensive, but you're serving people like something like 9 meals, aren't you?
Yeah, we're serving 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whole food plant-based meals, 8th through the 11th. And so, yes, it is. And, the nice thing about that, the reason we wanted to provide that kind of an atmosphere and opportunity is so that, when the conference finishes, people aren't running out to lunch, running out to dinner, skipping breakfast, and missing the real opportunity of connecting with colleagues and other people in this space. Because, I really believe that we cultivate long-term change in this space of lifestyle medicine, plant-based nutrition through community. And without community, we're not going to see transformation. And that's really why we built our conference the way that we did, with one track for everyone. We don't have breakout sessions. We really wanted people to have the experience of learning and living together for those 4 days and developing relationships that can spur other projects. And we have seen that come out of these conferences, from lifestyle medicine centers to books to research projects, new practices. So many things have evolved because people sat around tables and had conversations.
Yeah, that's great. So it's very easy for the people signed up if they need CEUs to get them, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think we have 21 or 22 CEUs this year. And, for physicians, healthcare providers, we typically need 100 every 2 years. And so 2 PBNHCs and you're halfway there. Which makes it really easy. So we really try to provide that learning opportunity. And every year when we go out to find speakers, I'm always thinking in my mind, what do I need to learn and what do we need to learn as a collective group? and I'll go out and find the speakers. And many of the speakers, I ask them to create new lectures for us. Even T. Colin Campbell, every year when I call Colin, I say, all right, Colin, we need a new lecture this year. And I'll work with them to kind of begin to lay out a plan for some new content, something new they're learning that they can bring to the audience. And in that way, our content is up to date and fresh and new, and it's not content that people may have heard somewhere else before.
You know, I don't think I see Dr. Colin Campbell this year on your roster.
You know, I think he's there.
Okay. Oh, yes, you're right. I see.
He's right there.
Sorry, because I just opened up the schedule. You're right. He's there. And when I look at the roster, which is a who's who of plant-based, there's only 2 names I don't recognize. Everybody else has been on my show. So let me read some of these presenters. Chef AJ. I'm just doing in order of not because
you're the top. Yeah.
Dr. Matt Letterman, Dr. Alona Pulday, Dr. Scott Stoll, Dr. Wayne Dysinger, who was my doctor in the desert, fabulous, Dr. Dean Ornish, Vanita Raman, Dr. Shyla Toombs-Wither, Dr. Andrew Freeman, Dr. Kushik Reddy, Dr. Ellen Desmond, but she's a wonderful dietitian, Deepa Deshmukh, Dr. Colin Campbell, Dr. Dexter Sherney, Dr. Jeffrey Pierce, Dr. Columbus Batiste, Dr. John McDougall, who's getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, Dr. William Lee, who was just on the show Tuesday, Dr. Michelle Tollefson, Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. Michael Clapper. The only names, and you'll have to tell me who they are so I can get them on my show. I'm not familiar with Helen Powell Stoddart and Romit Bhattacharya.
Yes, so Dr. Helen is an amazing woman who's a physical medicine rehabilitation specialist like myself, was, practicing lifestyle medicine along with her pain management practice, and really began to see the power of lifestyle medicine and shifted into lifestyle medicine, especially treating diabetes with her program. She's developed an amazing program that walks people through kind of a transformational experience in regenerating their bodies and reversing their diabetes. And she's going to be great. She is, incredibly intelligent, amazing experience, and a dynamic speaker. And then Dr. Romit is a Harvard trained cardiologist working in preventative cardiology. And he has done a lot of work in the epigenetic field of cardiovascular disease susceptibility and the impact of lifestyle. He's published internationally and has produced some very interesting research that really validates how powerful food choices are in either protecting or exposing these epigenetic susceptibilities that we may carry, especially when people are moving from a relatively kind of naive part of the world into our westernized diet, and how their genes are super primed to produce disease when they encounter the westernized diet. So he's going to be a fantastic new speaker, especially because his research is being published internationally.
I can't wait to see them. I've never heard of them, so I'll look forward to that. People need to know, and maybe you can explain that even though it's heavily attended by physicians who need CEUs, just regular people like me could go and just enjoy.
Yeah, we love to have anybody attend. Absolutely. It's a really unique experience. The content is, it's fairly high level because it's at a, more of a medical language, but I think that's kind of fun for the general population to come in and dig a little bit deeper and hear healthcare providers talk about the science and the life application of plant-based nutrition, disease prevention, and reversal. And so I agree with you. I think for the general population that wants to go deeper, this is a tremendous opportunity to come and learn, but also to rub shoulders with healthcare providers and some of the greats in our field and have lunch with Colin Campbell or Dean Ornish. And I agree with you. I think this is a tremendous opportunity that anybody would love to come and join us and have 9 great meals, as you said earlier.
Yeah, I don't think any conference gets that many people of that caliber at their events and has such great food. Esther's asking about the hotel. How does it work? You pay for the accommodations in addition to the conference?
Yeah, the registration fee takes care of all the conference registration, meals, etc. And then the hotel or accommodations are up to the attendees. Some people that live locally just stay at home. We do have a rate with a hotel that is reduced, or you can stay at another local hotel. But yes, you're responsible for your own housing.
Oh, I didn't realize you could stay at another hotel. That's
Sure,
very
you're not
interesting.
obligated to stay there. It's beneficial because you don't have to drive over. You can walk up and enjoy the fellowship before and after the day. But yes, if people have locations or accommodations elsewhere, they can certainly stay there.
Wow. I got a question for me, because I used to live in the desert and it's very warm. Are you going to keep the hotel freezing like some
Oh,
hotels?
as you know, us plant-based people, we get chilly. So we're always working with the hotel to try and accommodate the air conditioning and make it warmer. But yes, we do try to work on that. But hotels, as you know, they keep the hotels so cold.
It's
Uh,
crazy, isn't
it
it?
is really, it's amazing.
Well, as long as I can get some hot water or some hot tea somewhere, I'll be fine. I don't know why they think it keeps people awake, because it really makes me want to go to sleep.
We're
But
all burning calories, shivering, right?
that is a beautiful hotel. And for people that don't know this, the Palm Springs Airport is one of the most accessible, pleasant It's not like going to LAX or LaGuardia
No.
or O'Hare. I used to live there. It's just delightful. Southwest flies there now. They didn't used to have Southwest. It's like it's just a wonderful, easy. I love about this airport is it's kind of outside. So while you're waiting for your flight, you don't have to be indoors. If you can be indoors, but it's a very nice airport, the Palm Springs Airport, and it's not far from the venue at all.
Right. Yeah. It's such an easy town in and out. The airport, like you said, is beautiful. I love sitting outside while you wait for your flight. That's the perfect lifestyle medicine airport. And it's, 20, 30-minute drive over to the hotel from there, and a very easy drive without LA traffic. So
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I look forward to seeing you again. And is there a virtual option for people? Maybe they live in a country that's just a little bit too far to travel, or they can't make it that week?
yeah, we have evolved, especially through COVID. That's one of the good things actually that came out of the pandemic, was this evolution of digitizing conferences and content. And so we do produce a live and recorded version, virtual version of our conference that's available for anybody around the world. And, we just want this information to get into the hands of people, healthcare practitioners, students, and faculty everywhere. And so people can sign up for a virtual registration online at plantricianproject.org. And you can watch it from Phuket, Thailand. You can watch it from Tokyo, Japan. You can watch it from, anywhere in the world, and participate and get all the great content and be a part of this great event. The virtual registration also allows you to have access after the conference to continue to go back, review those. And then for a short period of time, you're also available to get the CMEs or CEUs that are associated with the conference through the virtual event as well. So it's a great value for people that are not able to travel and be a part of that community, and a great opportunity to log in and join us and be a part of this great event.
Yeah. Do you get a fair, now that most COVID restrictions have lifted, do you anticipate a larger in-person attendance and maybe less people online, or are there people that just aren't going to be able to make it because of, maybe they live too far?
Yeah, it's interesting. Last year we had, almost a balance between virtual and live. And I think we're expecting the same. We'll have a nice, robust group of live attendees and a beautiful community of people coming together. And I think this virtual opportunity will be about the same number of people around the world that are logging in and joining us.
That is so amazing. What about people that attend live? Can they still get the recordings if they want to watch them again later?
Exactly. That's exactly right. We make those available for people so they can go back and watch and learn from some of those amazing lectures, where, as you hear something and you think you're going to remember it, but after 25 lectures, you don't. So it's great to be able to go back and review some of those lectures again.
Your days are fully packed from first thing in the morning till after dinner. It's quite, it's not a sit around by the pool conference.
No, that's right. Yeah, this is really a conference with the intention of educating healthcare professionals. So it is full. Our early breakfast, we start early with our lectures. We go through early afternoon, finish and have dinner together. And then we do have some evening activities that will, be recognizing John McDougall, et cetera. So yeah, it's a full event. It's
That's
but it's
exciting.
wonderful.
Can I ask, and if you can't tell me, I understand, like who's going to be giving him the award? Like who's going to introduce him? I'm just curious.
That would be me.
Oh, wow. That's
I have
amazing.
that privilege. Yes, I have the privilege.
Well, that's going to be very gratifying because it's on his shoulders that many of us stand, and he's
Right.
actually giving a talk on the shoulders he stood on. So
That's right. I know it's such a beautiful way to remember and honor the people that have gone before us, because all of us are building on the work of people before us. And I just believe that honoring, the elders, the people that have done that work is so important. And I
Yeah.
don't want to ever forget them.
absolutely. You just reminded me of a joke. I'm going to tell it. I don't. It's, so there's a little boy in church, and he noticed that the American flag was at half mast. So he said to the pastor, he said, "Pastor, why is the flag at half mast?" And he said, "Well, it's to honor and commemorate those who died in the service." And the little boy said, "Is the 9 o'clock service or the 11 o'clock service?"
That's good. I love it.
So just
That
had
is great.
of that.
I love that.
Are you able to recall the past lifetime achievement winners from the past years?
Sure. Yeah, it's we had T. Colin Campbell, of course. We had Caldwell Esselstyn. We have Brenda Davis, Michael Clapper, Hans Deal. So privileged that we got to honor Hans Deal several years ago at our conference, and just so excited about that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And now John McDougall. So
I know they're going to be honored, right? I mean,
we do. We wanted to, in the first couple of years, starting with Colin Campbell, Michael Clapper, we surprised them. And then when we got to Hans Deal, we said, we probably need to start letting people know so they can invite their families and, allow their families to participate in a celebration. So we made a shift there, and we've started to invite the families and let people know ahead of time so they can come and celebrate that incredible life that we're honoring.
I think that's a good idea because I was honored with I'm in the Vegetarian Hall of Fame from the North American Vegetarian Society, and it was a surprise. And I don't like surprises. I was there in a sweatsuit, no makeup, with my arms crossed in the back, thinking, when can I go already? And then they called my name, and because it'd be nice to have, a speech prepared. I mean, there is some spontaneity that's nice, but I appreciate that you tell the people in advance that they're going to be getting an award.
Oh, and Dean Ornish. I forgot Dean Ornish. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Can't
Yeah.
forget Dean. Yeah.
And do they get like a little commemorative plaque?
Yeah. What we do, we actually have an artist create a one-of-a-kind plaque for them. And it's usually it's a piece of fruit or a vegetable with their name on it. And then I create some language to just tell them how we're honoring them, what we remember their life by.
I sure hope McDougall's is a potato.
It has to be, right?
I mean, come on. It's like, you got it.
It has to be a potato.
Jennifer, who's watching live, says, how do you sign up if you're virtual, and how long will the virtual replays be available?
Yeah, so if you will go to pbnhc.com, you'll find all of the registration information there, and you can see the PBNHC on demand. And so that little section right there will give you the information about signing up for the on-demand.
And I've been posting that link in the chat in the show notes. So Jennifer, just click it. I just posted it again. It will take you to both in-person and virtual registration. Yeah, that's going to be great. I cannot wait. Do you think most of the people do stay at the hotel, though, just for convenience?
Yes, most people do stay at the hotel. It's just more convenient. We get great rates. And it's fun to be around everybody at the conference. I see so many people after the evenings going out together, sitting around, visiting, running together, walking, exercising in the gym.
That's going to be fun. But there's no like night activities like talent show or game night or anything like that, right?
Not this year, but we're thinking about adding some of those things next year. We want to make it a really fun event.
That would have been good. I could
with the education.
I could have hosted the virtual or the stand-up comedy event. Now you move it around. This is unusual for you to have it in the same location 2 years in a row, isn't it?
Well, we've had it in the same location in Anaheim. We had it at we've had it in Anaheim a number of years. And then we shifted to Oakland to try and go to Northern California. And then we had COVID. So we tried to find a location outside of a major city. We found this location. So we're going to be here this year. We'll be back in Anaheim next year, back here in 2025, tentatively. And then we may look at going to the East Coast. I don't know, just to
No, don't go to the
things
East
up.
Coast. No East Coast. Come to Sacramento. There's no conferences up here. Sacramento is a wonderful international
It's
airport.
beautiful.
And think about it this way. Well, first of all, there's a ton of doctors up here between the UC Davis Health System and Sutter and Kaiser. So there's a lot of doctors here. Less than 2-hour drive from San Francisco, UCSF, 2 hours from Tahoe. I think you get a lot of people here in Sacramento.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful part of California.
Yeah. And then you can have Dr. John Scharfenberg, who's 100.
Yeah, right. Yes.
It's not my conference, but I almost feel he should get some kind of lifetime achievement award just for living so long.
That's right.
Yeah.
And being so functional at 100.
Oh my God, he's just been invited to speak in China. And, he was on my channel. Nobody had heard of him. And I'm taking the credit for skyrocketing him to success, because he's like, now he's getting invitations to speak all over the world. And he wrote me, he goes, I thought I was going to retire, but now I got all these offers. What am I going to do?
Great. I love it.
Nice.
Impacting all the way to the end.
I think he's amazing. I just think so. So who decides who wins the award? Do you guys get together and talk about?
We do. It's really just Tom, Susan, and I. And we'll kind of put together a couple names and talk with our small team about it. And we'll recognize those individuals. We just really, we want to make sure that we recognize, especially that group that is that's been doing this a really long time.
Right.
They've taken a lot of knocks and hard times and, been outcasts in some of their societies. And so we just really want to make sure that we thank them. So that's that first kind of top tier that we're working through.
Yeah. Do most speakers that you ask want to come back after they've been there?
They do. Yeah, they do. And, it's really challenging because we have so many great speakers, but every year I want to make sure we're getting lots of new content out there and not just a replay of last year. So we do have a few speakers that come back year after year, T. Colin Campbell, Dean Ornish, but most of our speakers are new, and then we'll rotate some of those that have been there a couple of years ago back in with new content. And we just want to keep the content fresh and up to date and exciting and cutting edge. And so we're really trying to every year evolve our content and our speaker list.
Any past conferences or anything come to mind, like either funny moments or poignant moments from previous conferences that you can share? Because I've done 21 conferences, and one actually involving Hans Diehl always comes to mind when people ask me about conferences. So anything in your database that you can remember?
Let's see. Yeah, kind of a funny one. We had a conference at Hotel Marriott in Anaheim, and first breakfast, we completely ran out of food. And the chef came running out and said, your people are eating too much food. Like,
oh my God.
We told you that these healthy plant-based people eat a lot of food. And he refused to make the quantities that we asked him to make, and we completely ran out of breakfast. So, it's
first of all, it's none of his business, even if they weren't healthy, how much they eat. If you're paying for it, this is what I don't understand. This is the same problem I've encountered with hotels, which is why I started using, caterers like Chef Ramses Bravo, who understand calorie density. They should be required to read like volumetrics or eat more. They should, because they don't understand that a serving of asparagus isn't 3 spheres.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. So now we spend a lot of time educating them. And telling them those stories. That's right.
I know.
And one other poignant moment I just remember, because it just is so poignant and a reminder of humility, and I think the quality of the leadership in our space. We had a conference when our first conference was 2013 in Naples, Florida. And, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn had a delay and arrived late. He got in at 9 o'clock at night. And he knew that William Lee was speaking, and he'd always wanted to hear Will Lee. So he said to me, he said, "Do you think I can watch the replay?" And so I have this great picture of, it's like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. Dr. Essie's in the back of the room with headphones on, watching Dr. Lee's lecture. And to me, that just really epitomizes, not only his humility, but I think he's representative of our space, that so many of the people are actively looking to continue the learning process, to improve themselves, to glean from other leaders, and they won't stop until they learn more. And so, that is a poignant moment that just really solidified for me. This is a group of people that I want to run with in life.
He's such a, well, I'd call him a mensch, but he's just so humble, Dr. Esselstyn, as is Dr. Campbell. They're just great people. Are we allowed to ask about that one time with that one speaker who was not so nice to plant-based people? Because
we can certainly talk about that.
I learned from that if I want to have him on my show or interview him on the summits, that just, I got, it was okay, but like I heard it from other people. It was like the shot heard around the world. People were saying that because not everybody that comes to your conference is vegan or even plant-based, but I think most of them are more plant forward. But this particular speaker apparently, I guess, did a bait and switch. I don't think he's watching, so we can say his name, Dr. Robert Lustig.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of speakers through the years, and I'm always a bit of a risk taker, and I'll calculate risk, but sometimes you get on the downward side of that. And we had invited him to speak, and I'd had some conversations because I thought he did a pretty good job of documenting how the sugar industry, capitalized on reward systems and created a problem in our country. And so I said, I had a couple of conversations, and I said, this is what I'm really interested in you speaking about. I really want to put the guardrails on because this is the content. And I know that we have differences in what we believe about nutrition, but this is what I'd like you to come talk about. And then I said, but this is what I don't want you to talk about. I said, our conference is really designed, we intentionally don't create antagonistic environments or conflict. That's not something that we believe in. We're trying to look from just a scientific standpoint, but not argue over some of these other aspects. I said, are you able to do that? He said, sure. And so I took him at his word, and he stood up at the podium and he launched in from the very beginning on T. Colin Campbell.
And was Dr. Campbell there?
Yes. I was shocked. I was looking for the hook to see if we could.
That is okay. He's allowed to disagree, but that is not gentlemanly behavior to attack another speaker. I saw it happen once to Colin, and Colin's just so gentle. He doesn't fight back,
Right, and that's not the time or place, to do something like that, and not where the other person doesn't have the opportunity to give a rebuttal.
Yeah.
And so, as when you invite speakers, you do your best to help guide their talk. And sometimes they go off script, right?
I think being a conference producer is one of the most stressful. It's much more stressful than speaking. Do you agree? To have to be the one.
There's so many. There's so
many things that can go wrong. One of my not favorite, but one of the most memorable moments is when we have, our conferences is mostly doctors, and we always ask them in advance how much time they need. And usually it's about a 75-minute slot, an hour to do their PowerPoint and 15 minutes for questions. And then we have a volunteer in the front row with these gigantic cards. Sometimes we have the countdown, but in the past, like a big card, yellow with black letters, 15 minutes left, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. And so I'm not going to say the person's name, but this doctor said, you can hold that card up all day, but I'm not getting off the stage until I'm ready. And the thing is, it's so disrespectful to all the other speakers who now have to have their time cut because, it's so people are interesting, aren't they, when you hire them for speaking?
We are interesting creatures, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are.
I always try to not be a problem. Like when I'm a speaker, I try never to be a prima donna because I want to be invited back,
That's right. Yeah. Grateful for the opportunity. Stay within the limits. That's right. And, like the behind the scenes that so many people don't realize, all the details that have to get taken care of. Like I remember so many years when our little small but mighty team would be like stuffing 1,200 bags to get ready for the next day. And, just going through the stack of information, filling all these bags, hours after hours, getting bags ready for the conference. And, it's people don't realize that somebody has to stuff 1,200 bags, and usually a pretty small group of us that do that. So
people don't realize volunteers are really the heart of everything.
They are.
Victoria's saying she's so glad it's in Palm Springs. It's close to her. So we hope if you're not already registered, Victoria, you will. You have the same maiden name as me. Goodman. Yeah. Here's a question, since you are a doctor and we got it in the chat. I think you could probably answer this, especially because of the work you do with the immersions. And Lisa, who's watching live, says, I was able to get off insulin eating whole food plant-based, but my doctor is reluctant to stop the statin she prescribed for me. What does Dr. Stoll think? What criteria can I monitor to know if I really need a statin?
All right, Lisa, that's a great question. Congratulations, getting off insulin. That is incredible. You have done an amazing job to make a transformation in your lifestyle to the point where you're discontinuing insulin. Is really something to be proud of. So I congratulate you on that. That is fabulous. The statins are, it's a little bit controversial even in our space. There's primary prevention, and secondary prevention. So if somebody's had a heart attack, a lot of the cardiologists will recommend a statin following a heart attack in order to prevent secondary events. And in that space, I think the evidence is more clear that people should take a statin, although there are many in our space as well that would say that if your cholesterol is normal, your LDL is below 70, and your total cholesterol is under 150, that you probably don't need a statin. But there are also cardiologists that would say, unless your cholesterol is below 50, you probably need a statin. So that decision, I usually leave up to the cardiologist that is managing someone's heart condition after a heart attack. There's the larger group of people that are on statins because they have a high cholesterol. And I believe that, if you can get your cholesterol down with diet, exercise, stress reduction, below 150 LDL, for sure below 100, you don't have a significant family history of heart disease, then diet and lifestyle are the key. And you do not need a statin. So I just follow the numbers. And it's incredibly powerful, as you know, Chef AJ. I was working with somebody over in Dubai, 54 years old, in great shape, working out, hour and a half a day, and significant family history of heart disease, not eating very well, stressed, drinking some wine every day, had a massive heart attack. His LDL was 250. If we're trying to get an LDL below 70, he was at 250. But just 2 months later, his LDL is 50 after a really good diet and lifestyle intervention. So just to encourage you that it is possible to to drop that down. And if you're not in the heart attack group and you can get it to that level, I encourage you to stop the statin, because your diet is far more powerful at comprehensively protecting you than a statin would be.
Yeah, thank you. I still I'm keep spinning on what you said that chef said, because even if it's true, isn't that a good thing that the people are eating a lot? I mean,
Yeah, I think for probably the kitchen's margins, financial margins, it's not good that
I
we're
see what
eating
you're
more
saying.
food,
But
right?
then you have to offer to pay them more, but they should make what they committed to making. Do you
Exactly, in the
explain to them
contract.
about why they're not using oil? Is somebody able to explain that to them?
We do, yeah. I mean, Tom does such an amazing job of educating the chefs at the hotels. We have a packet that we give to the hotel that explains all of this information about oil and dairy and meat, etc., and sugar. And then we answer questions, and Tom follows up with them to make sure that they're following the guidelines. So we really want this to be not just, here's our guidelines, cook it for us. We want to educate the chefs too. And we have, from our conferences, I'm sure you do too, from people that have been filming our conference, to chefs, to volunteers that have just been in the space that are experiencing this environment and educational opportunity have radical life transformations themselves because they taste it, see it, learn it, live it, and their lives are transformed. And so I love that kind of secondary effect of the event.
Yeah. Is there a speaker that you're wanting to get that either you haven't reached out to yet or it hasn't been able to come that's on your
Well,
radar?
that would be for 2024. Yeah, there are a few speakers. And so what I'm going to do actually, for your audience and we're always trying to, source new speakers. And so if you have, any of you all have speakers that you would like us to see, or think that would be a fabulous physician or healthcare practitioner speaker, please let us know. I think that's great. I don't know everyone, and there are people that are, coming into this space that are incredibly talented, and I'd love to get them on the stage too.
Absolutely. Well, I've done 1,600 shows, so I probably could think of a few people that you haven't
Well,
heard of.
congratulations, 1,600.
That's a lot of shows, yeah. So Susanna says, Dr. Stoll, any plans for another documentary? Disease Reversal Hope is fantastic.
Oh, thank you for watching that. Yeah, Dan Purgis really was the producer of that from a book that he and I co-authored called Disease Reversal Hope. And we believe in the power of stories to help validate the evidence and inspire people to change. And so that was a special project because we took a number of the stories from the book, and Marilee and Paul from Small Box Entertainment went on the road and did an incredible job of filming and documenting those stories. So Disease Reversal Hope is a little bit different documentary because it's not as many talking heads, and it's a lot more of the individual stories, because we wanted people that are struggling to see somebody like them and to be inspired that something that they didn't believe was possible is actually possible and achievable. We don't have any plans to do another one yet, hopefully in the future, but I do appreciate the encouragement, and I thank you. And if any of your audience has not seen that, Disease Reversal Hope is a really inspiring documentary.
Absolutely. And one of the members or people you featured in the book, Esther Loveridge, is here watching live.
Esther, hello there. Thank you for joining us.
She lives near me, so if you do a conference up here, she can give a testimonial, because she didn't do it until she was in her 70s, so people think it's too late. Nope. Lisa, thanks you for answering the questions that she asked. And somebody asked, if you can't lower your cholesterol naturally, what about amla or bergamot?
Yeah, so there's a couple of herbs. The cholesterol story is really it's a big story. It's much bigger than the pharmaceutical industry likes us to believe, because they created a narrative that makes it very easy to sell medication. High cholesterol, high risk of heart disease, take the drug, low cholesterol, low risk of heart disease. But it's much more complicated than that. And so there are, because of our epigenetics, the genes that we inherit from our family that are susceptible to lifestyle changes, make us, more or less susceptible to the things that we eat. And we also have some people that have higher production levels of cholesterol. But what's interesting is there are lots of people that have high cholesterol, never have a heart attack, and people that have low cholesterol and have a heart attack. So it's much more than just cholesterol. It's lifestyle, it's stress, it's avoiding toxins and alcohol, it's exercise, and it's a whole food plant-based diet. But there are some herbs, that some people do, the red yeast rice, which is more of a natural statin, actually, the bergamot and the amla, as you said. But I really want to first help people dial in their diet and lifestyle. I found that there are some things that can drive cholesterol in their lifestyle, including coconut products, too many peanuts with some saturated fat, and some other components of a diet and lifestyle that can result in an elevated cholesterol. And so, it's making sure you're getting plenty of greens, plenty of beans and cruciferous vegetables, adding in those, beautiful sweet potatoes, some of the starches, and, if you're doing an excellent job first with your lifestyle, then you can maybe look at some of the secondary things. But what I found through the years is that people do and this is not this individual, I'm just saying in general with my patients, that they do a pretty good job with their diet, and then they start looking to add supplements to, to get that extra benefit, but they don't see as much benefit, so they add more supplements, and they can end up with a couple $100 a month in supplements when it's really just refining the diet that would do it.
Great. Well, speaking of greens, there's a question from a live viewer named Bit. And the question is, can you ask the good doctor what he thinks of a diet of white potatoes, red cabbage, collard greens, beets, kales, and an occasional watermelon, banana, and cosmic apple? Are 2 pounds of greens enough?
That's 2 pounds of greens a day?
Yeah, I think in a day, yeah.
Wow, that's super. That sounds like a really healthy diet. One thing that we do know is that the greater the diversity of the diet, the greater the benefit for the microbiome. And so I'm always encouraging people, that sounds like a fabulous diet. 2 pounds of greens is off the charts. But I'm always encouraging people, look for ways to add in more variety into your week, 40, 60 different types of fruits and vegetables, beans, grains, lentils, etc. On a weekly basis, because it really does have benefit for your microbiome. If we start getting too narrow, it's not as beneficial for the microbiome. So that sounds like a good diet. Just keep expanding and adding in some new things and new opportunities along the way.
Speaking of microbiome, have you ever had Dr. Will B speak?
We have a couple of years ago. Yeah,
Nice.
He's fabulous.
Yeah, nice. Well, I cannot wait to come. Thank you so much for having me. I used to live there, so it's not going to be a problem. I know exactly where to go, and maybe I'll visit some old friends while I'm there. But I'll be at the conference the whole time.
We are so excited you're going to be there. Yeah. It's going to be so fun, and people that are going to be attending your workshop are in for a delightful, educational, fun-filled, transformational experience.
I sure hope so.
You are amazing.
I'm a little rusty.
We are honored that you're joining us.
I think the last time we spoke together was either at that conference in Florida or the one was it Walla Walla? I think
Walla Walla, Washington. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we go to the same place. So it starts Friday morning, September 8th, right?
8th, correct.
And it goes to Monday afternoon, September 11th.
You've got it. That's right.
Which is Dr. Doug Lyle's birthday, and early bird pricing. I'm incorrect. It's not till the 31st. I was one of your staff wrote me. It's midnight on the 24th, but you still have several days to make up your money.
Right.
Even without the early bird pricing, it's worth it just in terms of what you get and all the CEUs and all the fun stuff. So guys, honestly, especially now that Dr. McDougall's not doing his conference, this is the best conference you will ever attend, and you get to meet all the famous doctors and like-minded people and have delicious food. And it's in California. What could be better? Well, thank you so much, Dr. Stoll. Thank you for the work. I know how hard you must be working now in the final months, because I do conferences and it's just, you don't sleep until it's over.
Yeah. And thank you so much for all of your support. We are grateful for this time, for your support. Can't thank you enough.
Yep. Jill concurs. It is, in capitals, the best conference. I could talk about it all day until you experience it. I know people like the cruise and they like this, but this is, if you save your money for this one, if you can't go this year, go next year, and then you come back. If you don't think it's the best conference, I'm going to say I'll give you your money back, but it's not mine to do. I'll send you a book or something like that, because it is the best. All right. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Stoll.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to be talking about food addiction.